Hello, this is Dr. Paul Cottrell, and I'm going to be going over the dashboard for the new data that's coming out for the H5N1 outbreak. But before we do that, I'd like to just inform the public. Please go to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com. The link is in the description of this video. You can see these PDFs that I've been putting up. I've been uploading these PDFs, download them, learn a little bit about what's going on either with different types of viruses or what's going on with cancer, or a lot to learn here. There's a lot of really important information on this website. In addition, you can help support my work by donating through Stripe, PayPal, or buy me a coffee. Just click the link and donate. That helps support my news coverage and make sure that my videos that I do for the public are for free. I also have ebooks that people can purchase. I have 8 ebooks. I have a plethora of structural nanosilver products, toothpaste, liquids, gels, soaps, lozenges, drops. Also, I have a multivitamin and probiotics and applicators. And C60 is a very strong antioxidant. So I have it in a 2 ounce, a 4 ounce, and an 8 ounce in 3 different oils, either in olive oil, avocado oil, or coconut oil. I have a plethora of different supplements: vitamin D, vitamin C, omega-3, ashwagandha root, goodnight formula, powdered probiotic, resveratrol, B complex, turmeric, magnesium and zinc, lignans, which is very important in boosting up your immune system. It's a powder, collagen, digestive enzymes, which is part of my protocol, and the clarity factor. In addition, I also have all natural deodorants and a skin bar made from essential oils from the Himalayas. And I've curated these different anti-aging boxes that help to boost up your immune system, neutralize pathogens, bring down inflammation, and soak up free radicals. So, take a look at those different boxes and purchase my health supplements. I also have these classes where you can pay for $5 and you'll get access to videos and PDF files that I've created. So for the pulmonology, where you learn about the lung system and how it works, you get 22 lectures with PDFs. So you'll learn a lot about how the lung works. And in addition, an immunology lecture series of 16 lectures on how the immune system works. We go over many different topics of importance here. So please sign up for those classes, and once you pay, you'll get a password that's sent to you so you can access the class. You'll access the class through here. So you go classes, you'll pick which module you purchased, you'll type in your unique password, and it'll allow you into the system. And as long as you keep that password, you'll be able to see those lectures, get those PDFs forever. So that is the website. So I want to talk about the dashboard here. Okay, this is the H5N1 outbreak with the poultry and the dairy cows that I've been covering for a little while here. There has been one new case. All right, so this outbreak started in April of 2024. Okay, so we've had a case in the beginning of April and another case just recently on May 22nd. Both of them involved conjunctivitis. The first one was from Texas. The second one was from Michigan. Now, why is that important with Michigan? A lot of the increase in the dairy herds that are affected, all right, have been from Michigan and Idaho. So let's go to so we have three total human cases. That includes the case that was in April of 2022. All right. Now, what is interesting is that these quote cases are after 2021, which is important because April 2021 was when there was a joint development of gain of function research with a certain clade, which happened to be similar to this clade for H5N1. So we, you know, could that be some sort of reason why we're having that? Most likely not, but it can't be ruled out. But as of right now, there's no evidence to suggest some sort of leak or some sort of release from that research. Now, and I have reasons for that, and I've said this in a prior video, that what they have done in the laboratory is more mutations that are dealing with the replication complex proteins and mutations within the NA structure. And because that is not prevalent in what is in the wild birds, in the poultry, or the dairy cows, it suggests that this is not something from the laboratory. Okay, so, but, you know, that's just with the data points that we have at this moment in time. So this does seem to be a zoonosis effect. What they did in the laboratory, these numbers here, if it was a accidental release or a purposeful one, these numbers for a human transmission would be much higher. The poultry numbers would be much higher. I'll show you why. And the dairy cow numbers would be much higher. Okay, so let's go down the road here. All right, so wild birds at this moment in time, they have detected 9,352 birds. That hasn't changed since the previous video. The counties, they're counting them in counties. Now, this seems like, oh my God, there's 9,000, over 9,000. Well, that's across the whole United States. And so if you go over different counties, you might, find, okay, 23 birds in a particular park or whatever, right? Or a county. Box elder, 25, 4 in Utah. All right, this county here, Mineral County, 11. Michigan, 1, and that's where a lot of these cases are for the dairy cows. All right, 6. We got, I thought I saw just a 31. See, in Saginaw. So in most counties it's low, but in some counties it's in the 30s or the 20s. All right, so here's a 16. So that's birds that have been confirmed to have this type of H5N1. Okay, so there's 1,144 counties affected in the United States, and there's 9,352 birds that have been detected in those counties. Okay, so obviously there's probably more birds that actually have it because, it's just sampling. So this number is bigger, but how much bigger, we don't really know. What is interesting is these, a big section of this, country here, is the west side of the country, but that may be deceiving because these counties, one, are larger compared to some of these other counties. And the number that are detected are relatively low. There was one that had a 60. All right. A 7, 2, right? In Texas, where it seemed to start, these are relatively low. So it's not so clear cut on like, why the birds, right? You would think in Texas, you would have a lot of birds detected. Michigan, there are birds detected, but they're not a whole lot. And Utah seems to have more than Michigan does. So, just keep that in mind. All right. There's 9,352 birds at this moment in time. Now, let's take a look at the poultry. All right. Now, for the ones that have been paying attention, I explained that this is the number of birds that can potentially be affected. All right. Because that's the flock size. The actual outbreak is up. It's considered an outbreak if within that flock size, there's at least one bird. Okay. All right. All right. So, all right. What's the the breakdown here? Remember Texas, that's where it all started. All right. Or at least we think that's where it started. All right. The flock size here, 70, and there was one outbreak. All right. There's a flock size of 1,700 with one outbreak. So really the key is really think about the outbreak. But we don't really know how many how many birds that would actually have to be culled, from that outbreak. Like for example here, most of the ones that you roll over here, it's one outbreak, a certain flock size. Okay. But here, this is a much larger farm. All right. And their flock size, let's say this one right here, McPherson's County, it's 46,900 for the flock size, and there were 3 outbreaks within that flock size. All right. There's outbreak of 4 within a 1,740 flock size. So it's not so, the way they do this is it's not so clear cut exactly how many birds are actually affected. All right. Now, and that's the poultry. All right. Now, so here, a lot of them are like flock sizes of 20, one outbreak. Flock size of 20, one outbreak. Flock size of 30, one outbreak. Flock size of 17,960, 4 outbreaks. Okay. So if we take this number, if we see this number really growing, then that's going to be problematic. But it's not really growing because the last time that I did the video, which was, I think, Thursday, or maybe it was Friday, 1,000, I think it was 1,130 something. So, is it problematic for the poultry? Yes. Compared to the cows? Yeah. Yeah. It seems to be a little bit more problematic, but not catastrophic. Because if it was catastrophic, then you would see like flock sizes of, like right here, flock size of 9, there's just one outbreak. Flock size of 20, one outbreak. Flock size of 10, one outbreak. Right? Flock size of 2, one outbreak. So the way I read outbreak is that that's actually the birds that are having the problem. Now, like right here, even with these larger, let's say in Minnesota, you have a flock size of 22,500, and there was only one outbreak. Flock size of 1,600, 1,600 and 1,000. I'm sorry, 164,334, 5 outbreaks. 265,910, 11 outbreaks. So that's not, it just, the outbreak size should be much higher if it was super problematic. All right. Now, for safety precaution, they may call the herd in certain, on certain farms if they have like a super high outbreak. They may, okay, you have an outbreak of 11, that's the flock size, but how many really how many birds are actually truly affected by it. And with a large flock size like that, they're in different buildings and all this. So, you know, how many birds would they call? So the point here is that it's potential that birds, poultry, like, you know, we're talking about turkeys, we're talking about chicken, that those prices may go up at the grocery store if they are starting to call the flock. All right. I haven't heard that they are doing that. So and I haven't seen that much of a price increase in poultry, at least in New York. So I haven't seen that. All right. So now let's go to dairy herds. Okay, that has gone up, and that there's still 9 states that are affected: Texas, New Mexico, Colorado, Kansas, Idaho, South Dakota, North Carolina, Ohio, and Michigan. Okay, but the last ones since the last publication have been in Michigan and in Idaho. So the problem states really is Michigan, Idaho, and Texas recently. All right. When I say recently, going all the way back to like 510. All right. So something's happening in Michigan and Idaho with the cattle. All right. Now, so we have confirmed livestock that have this number. Now, the way I read this, okay, the way I read this is that there are the cows that actually have been tested positive with H5N1 is 58. So the way they write this, dairy herds affected, it's misleading. All right, because there are more cows within the herd, and within that herd there may be one cow that is affected. All right, so they're saying, okay, if you have a cow, let's say if you have a herd of cows that are 10 and you have one that is affected by H5N1, then all right, that dairy herd, quote, is affected, but there's only really one cow that is testing positive. So it's the way they write this is misleading. What they should say is confirmed cow cases. That's the right way to do this. All right. And it's the same thing with the poultry. It's misleading. It's not that there are 92 million birds that are quote affected. There are 92,000 poultry. All right. That is the total flock size. Okay. This is the total flock size that happens to have at least one bird within their flock size that is testing positive for this version of H5N1. All right. So they're counting the number of outbreaks as 1,144. So it's kind of like it's misleading here. It's not 92 million birds that are affected, right? And it seems as though the number of outbreaks, the number of birds affected on the farm, that the number of birds that have been confirmed to have H5N1 seems to be more in line with the 1,144 and not the 92 million. That's the way I see this. Okay. So it's just the way the CDC is doing the dashboard is misleading to the eye. All right. So the number that's really important to pay attention to is this number. If this number is increasing, right, at a fast clip, if it's increasing day over day, then we have to start worrying about this. But it's not. I think the previous recording, I think it was at 1,138 or 1,036, 1,136, something like that. So it's not, the outbreaks aren't being, it's not growing that much. Now, the potential could be affecting the whole flock size in the United States, but that's not going to happen. That's not, the probability isn't going to happen. So it's misleading the way they're writing this. So the number that I'm looking at is, what's the outbreak? It's 1,144. Okay. Now the question is that will there be some sort of government agency that dictates to the farms that if you have an outbreak, that you have to, even if the animals are healthy, that you have to call the herd, at a certain percentage or whatever. Then the number of birds that are going to be dropping out of the food supply is going to be a lot, especially with the chicken and turkey. Okay, so the same thing with the dairy cows affected. The dairy herds that are affected, well, that's misleading. It's you have 58 cows that are affected, and not and within that herd you have the potential for other cows within that herd to be affected, but you only have 58 cows that have been tested positive with this stuff. All right, now with the birds, the wild birds, that is basically based on, okay, how many birds are detected. So that's more of a clean number. Okay, they have 9,352 birds that happen to have H5N1 detected in them. Well, there's only been really 1,144 poultry that actually have been detected. In a total of 92,343,826 birds. That's our flock size within the country that's tied to farms that happen to have a certain outbreak. So, it's not so clear the way they do this dashboard. I think it could be, they need to, what is the number of birds that actually have been tested positive? That should be, it's just misleading the way they do this. Unfortunately, that's the way they do it. Now so my overall summary on this is this. There's been 3 human cases since 2022. 2 of them are recent of this year. One's in Michigan, one is in Texas. Both of them had conjunctivitis, not respiratory. So they had an eye infection. They were working on the farm with the dairy cows. There has been an increase in the number of cases of dairy cows getting it in Michigan and in Idaho recently. So now that number is at 58. I think when I first started this, I think it was in the 40s. So so that number is going up, but it's going up slowly. The number of detected birds hasn't changed since the 14th. Now, I don't know why that is. Maybe it's just lack of collecting the data. I don't know. And the poultry number has gone up a little bit in terms of the number of outbreaks, but it's stabilized. I mean, when I started doing this, it was at 1,130 something, maybe 36 or 38, whatever. It's stable. It's not like, going up to like 2,000 really quickly or 3,000 really quickly. So it's not really that much to worry about. It doesn't affect humans to any, severity. Even if someone contracts it, it's nothing, it's very small. I mean, it was an eye infection. And there's not really, huge effects on the dairy population in the United States or the poultry population. there's the potential for it to happen, but it hasn't happened. And that's the big takeaway here, is just to keep in mind that there's the aspect of potentiality versus reality. And the reality is that for humans, it's super low risk. And for even the poultry, chickens and turkey, the transmission from wild birds to them is somewhat slow. There's only 1,140, whatever, 44 outbreaks. That's a slow transmission from the 9,352 wild birds that are supposedly passing this along. So it's not taking hold. There is an infection that's taking place in these flocks and herds, but it's slow. It's not like super. So these terms that they use, like where did I see it? I think it was in here. No, maybe it was the poultry. Yeah, right here. Highly pathogenic avian influenza. Notice that they throw the big number, which is the flock size, not. So this is the potential for the birds to be, but not the reality. So they use a big number and use scary terms that, and with people that don't have really a scientific background, they hear this highly pathogenic avian influenza, they get all scared, right? But the reality of this situation is that this just means that it could be passed on. This avian influenza can cause some sort of pathology, all right, within these birds can pass it on to, let's say, other birds, other types of birds, or other species, all right. But this highly pathogenic avian influenza isn't taking hold. I mean, it only has 1,144 outbreaks since this started. All right. Since we've been hearing about this, I think in late March or early April. All right. It's slow. So the transmission from the 9,000, whatever this number is, right? In reality, this number in reality is probably a lot higher. All right. It's a lot higher. But it's just, so they have only detected it in 9,352 birds. So even with the higher number, the transmission mechanism with the number of outbreaks that are in poultry are relatively low. So it's low risk. Now, if you're a poultry farmer, you have to worry about the agency forcing you to call the herd, even though your animals probably are fine. That's the bigger issue. All right. Then you have dairy cows, another misleading way of saying it, but there's only 58 cows. Now, our cow herds are a lot larger than 58. And, and it's only been staying in, 9 states. So my take on this is that it's the problem. The problem is the government forcing the poultry farmers to call the herds, or the dairy cows to have their herds killed off, all right, because of stupidity from the agencies. But transmission to humans, super low, super low. And even if you do get it, it is not anything. It's an eye infection. That's it. All right. And then the outbreaks for poultry are low. One is 1,144, and the number of cows is only 58. I mean, we don't have to really worry about that. So just keep that in mind. This is the way they do the dashboard, the way they do the mainstream media. They want to scare you. Now, this is the reason why I don't think it was a lab release at all, either accidental or on purpose. I believe this is zoonotic because the transmission mechanism within poultry and within cows is very low. All right. And there's 2 things here. There's the transmission mechanism from wild birds to poultry and from poultry to poultry. And those mechanisms are slow. They don't transmit very well. It's not high, I mean, the word they use, highly pathogenic, it's slow. It's not fast. If it was fast, then the wild birds would be passing on and there'd be a lot more outbreaks within the poultry flocks, but it's slow from wild birds to another animal or another species. All right, from wild birds to poultry, or from wild birds to dairy cows, or even from poultry to dairy cows. That transmission mechanism is super slow. It's not taking hold as well. And the transmission mechanism between dairy cows to humans is slow. It's not fast. When I mean slow, it's just that the number of cases is low. So it's hard for it to pass from one species to another. So it's not, quote, highly pathogenic. It's more pathogenic than a normal, let's say, H5N1, but it's not, quote, highly pathogenic. Because if it was highly pathogenic, then the wild birds, we would have outbreaks within the poultry much higher. We'd have it in the tens of thousands. And, in the dairy, we'd have thousands of cases of dairy cow that would be having a problem. That we're not hearing. And we obviously don't have thousands of cases of, for humans. So I don't think that this is really a problem. I just do think that the agencies could come in and scare the farmers that if you don't call the herd, you can't have your farm and blah, blah, blah. And then the food prices may go up. Or they may be force vaccinating. And by force vaccinating these animals, maybe, I don't know, but maybe the transmission mechanism for H5N1 improves. Who knows? That's my take on it. So it's important to go to the store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and pay attention to my protocol, right? I have a protocol to help get through this kind of aftershock from 2020. All right. And that protocol is this. I'll be very brief here. The protocol is very simple. Liquids, so like Health Max 35, take a teaspoon or a tablespoon a day, or you can get the Health Max 14 or the structured solution here, silver solution. You take a teaspoon of it a day. All right. Then the other part of the protocol is taking a strong antioxidant like C60. All right. You can either get it in a 2 ounce, 4 ounce, or 8 ounce in different oils like olive oil, avocado oil, or coconut oil. All right. Then you want the ashwagandha and the turmeric, because that brings down the inflammation. The structural nanosilver liquid neutralizes pathogens and helps boost up your immune system. The digestive enzyme complex will help to break down certain types of proteins. But it has many different digestive enzymes, but this is not just to help break down carbs, carbohydrates, proteins, and lipids, but it's also to help break, because it has certain compounds to break proteins, because they're proteolytic enzymes. It will help to get through the aftermath of 2020. All right. Now, if people are listening to how I phrase this, they know exactly what I'm saying. Now, lignans, they boost up the immune system. So it's a powder. So you want to take the digestive enzymes, you want to take the lignans, you want to take the turmeric, you take the ashwagandha, you want to take the D3, right? You want to take the omega-3, which is to help with the cardiovascular issue. And because that helps to prevent stickiness of the red blood cells, and it also helps to improve your lipid profile. And you want to take one of the the nano silver products. So teaspoon of this, max 35 or max 14, or the silver solution. Teaspoon of C60, strong antioxidant. Take the D3, take the omega, take the ashwagandha, the turmeric, the lignans, and the digestive enzymes. And obviously, you know, these other compounds will help improve health too on top of that. But that's the protocol, all right? So just, you know, pay attention. Pay attention. Max 35, C60, ashwagandha, turmeric, lignans, digestive enzymes, D3, omega-3. Okay? Now, you know, the more that, you know, these other things that you add to it would also improve, but that's the core. Those are the important things to the protocol. So thank you for listening and have a nice day. Please support my work by going to my store, the-studio-reykjavik.com, and please donate through Stripe, PayPal, or buy me a coffee. Please subscribe to all my channels. I have 4 channels on YouTube. I have Brighteon, Bitchute, and Rumble. And you can follow me on X, Twitter. I'm sorry, X is Twitter. X, GETTR, and Facebook. And you can also follow me as a paid member to my Patreon channel. All the links are in the description of this video. Thank you for listening and have a nice day.